This is Sara, and so I met Sara. You have a young boy who's going to be 5, and you were said earlier, you have a 27% chance to live for 5 years, and you're already at the 1.5 year mark. How do you really feel, truly?
One thing about cancer is you kind of, there are days where you keep going through all the stages of grief just over and over and over. And I always say that you have to live your life like you can go visit your grief and that dark side. I just have a better idea of where I am in line to the end. So then you just kind of dust yourself off and you just decide to fight back.
Okay, so you are sitting here, so when diagnosed with terminal cancer that's not curable, and you just said this is the happiest you've ever been in your life. Hey, hey, hey! Welcome back to Hanging with Hehners. I am so excited for today's video. It's very different than usual, but it's one that's super important to me. So a girl, Fran, so one of my fans who I called my Frans, which is friend/fan, it should be like Fram, because it could be like friends, fan, family, but anyways, one of my friends had reached out early on in our trip, in this RV trip. So we are at our last stop now, and we're going to be sharing this whole entire trip come this fall once I have time to like edit it and we're back home. But she had reached out and she has ovarian cancer. She beat it once and then it came back. She's in her 30s. She has a small child and my little boy named Trent, and she has a 27% chance to be alive in 3 years. Let that sink in. And, you know, the whole start of this trip for me was that I was really struggling with anxiety and depression. I mean, who isn't post-COVID, right? But I was really struggling, and I'm trying to find like my own happiness and let it be within rather than like seeking outwardly like materialistic things and things of that nature. And so I ended up inviting Sara because this woman, even though she's struggling with cancer and she's literally fighting for her life right now, she somehow has some sarcasm in her. She's got great humor. She's silly and fun and spunky. And I'm like, wow, like, can you share a little with us? So this is a long video, but I hope you listen to all of it because it's honestly, it's educational, especially if you're a woman, to trust yourself and to push for answers. You'll understand what I'm saying later on in the interview, but it's also just so inspirational because this woman, she doesn't take no for an answer. She has, like I said, 27% chance to be alive in 3 years, but she's got spunk. She's like full of humor. She's sassy. She's fun. And it's just incredibly inspiring. So I'm going to leave you with Sara. This video is obviously all over the place because it was like, you know, it was just kind of very impromptu, and I was like, her story is so inspiring. I absolutely have links for her GoFundMe and stuff at the end. You do not have to donate if you do not want to, but if you get any sort of inspiration or anything from this message, I hope that you do. Even $1 would help because this woman is literally still working while she's fighting cancer, and she has, you know, most people get to retire and eventually just enjoy and live their life. She's got a 27% chance to be alive. I'm just like, I just wish that she wouldn't have to work so that she could focus on saving her own life rather than working and trying to save her life. But anyways, here is our interview, our little chit chat, and it was incredibly profound for me, and I really hope that it is for you as well. So I'll leave you to it. All right, so this is not my first rodeo as a host. First rodeo trying to film it myself, and I'm gonna take a picture of our setup because it's fancy. Okay,
It's like the High Mass Express is pulling out of the station right now.
So this is Sara, and so I met Sara when we, like, on Instagram, really, and I don't know you, like, I read a DM, or can you explain how
okay. So what it was is you asked what people wanted to like manifest, I think, for the new year.
Okay, yeah.
And I was just like, man, I'm about to battle ovarian cancer for the second time in a year, so like I just want to not have a terrible year and you pinned it.
Oh yeah, I was like, everyone pray for her. I have probably, and I want to stop saying this because I believe that what you say and what you put onto the universe kind of comes to you.
Yeah.
But I have the worst memory, and so like I forget everything. So that's right. And I remember I was like, I hope she doesn't mind if I pin it. But I was like, maybe people. I mean, there's a whole community. I feel like on Instagram and I know that you've already built up your very own community on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I love that princess. We have a kinetic sand princess, and we've got and the grace.
I love that your nail polish matches your shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go to nail salon.
We went to the nail salon.
Together?
We did, didn't we?
I'm smushing it.
You're so silly. Okay, so what we were saying though is that I pinned it because I was like, man, I feel like, man, that's just like so tough, and like, you know, positive vibes, prayers, like, and you know, you could use it. Who couldn't? And so then, you didn't have a GoFundMe then though, did you? Or did you?
If I didn't have it then, I was still working on the verb.
Mama, can you set my tent up?
Sure, honey. Like, I love how you're like, on your GoFundMe, you say, this is the best. You say something about donating, and you're like, but don't come at me if I'm eating tacos or ordering tacos because Mama's got to eat or something like that. It was like,
that I'm not going to use it to buy
yeah, and I thought it was so funny. I was like, oh my god, this girl's so real. So like, what is like your biggest mission for the message?
I think my biggest mission overall is for women to not let themselves be medically gaslit over specifically gynecological things. And if you're a bare minimum mama, it does not matter. At your worst, you are still more than enough for your family.
Oh god, I feel like I need to hear that right now. This is the first time I've ever invited a fan who are real, but my girlfriends I really believe are so cool, but then I'm like, God, you got to be careful to invite them into your home. And so at first I was like, you know, on my end of us meeting up, I was like, she definitely knows way more about me than I know about her, so that's going to be weird for me. And then
but I really don't.
Oh yeah, so this is what I wanted. I wanted to be like, well, how does she even know who I am, and was she ever like not liking me, and now she like, I don't know. I was like, this is such a bizarre scenario, but needless to say though, I was like this. But she just something. I feel like we're destined to meet for some reason.
Right.
Which is weird. I don't even know why.
Yeah, like so I did watch I think I watched like the first 3 seasons of Married at First Sight. And honestly, I don't think I even started following you on social media until like maybe a year or 2 ago. And I think it's because, like, I don't mean to sound weird, but I feel like I have a pretty good track record of seeing people. And I'm really good at almost immediately determining if there's like a reason, a season, or a lifetime kind of connection with them.
What?
So
I believe in this kind of stuff. This is so weird.
Right, and I'm not like I'm not into like tarot cards or psychic readings or anything like that. I just go by what my gut tells me. So, and I think I was just really for lack of a better term, attracted to your story because I know what it's like to just be like, okay, I'm just going to put myself out there, and then you get in the moment, oh, I just realized I have green from my bracelet. I'm sweating so much today. Wrist sweat is real, apparently.
Normalize the wrist sweat.
Wrist sweat, boob sweat, butt sweat, all of it. Everything
everywhere.
is sweaty.
Yeah.
So I just know what it's like to be like, okay, I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to try this. And then you're like a cat going into a cat carrier and you're like, no!
That's a really good.
Yeah, like, I just know, like, when every cell in your body is screaming, like, almost like stranger danger, but you're like, no, like, you see, like, there's a part of you that's like, no, I need to see this through. For some reason, I need to see this through.
Yeah.
And I know what it's like to just be like, what am I doing? This was stupid. This was crazy. This is never going to work out. And then it's like, well, F it, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and then, like, you see, like, this transition of being in full-on red alert, panic mode, and survival mode.
Yeah.
Like, because that's automatically where I go, survival mode. Like, I tuck my head and my heart into this tiny little crevice to protect it, and then it's just like you kind of just see this gentle transition, and I just love that the fact that you just stuck with the process, and like you could almost tell that like Doug was your equal just by the way that he was just like gently, like you were like a feral cat, and he was like had a can of tuna. And he was just like,
here, just try. I've never had my relationship, but that's literally it. Like, you pretty much just like.
and I was like, girl, I see you, because I know exactly, like, watching you, I felt it. Like, that seizing, like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and honestly, like, you guys were done, and, like, you did, like, your other stuff, and I was just like, she's pretty cool, like, they're my favorite. But, like I said, I never followed you guys on social media, and then I don't know if you came up as, like, a suggestion, and then you were doing, like, all the body positivity stuff, and I'm like, okay, like, she's just, like, you're right, she is just a normal chick, just trying to survive motherhood and marriage and life, and, like, you didn't have the best, you know, background and stuff, and, like, I that really spoke to me, because, you know, I had a good upbringing, but, like, other people in my life have not, and I'm just like, I felt such empathy towards that, and then, like, I went through that horrible spout with my first marriage and stuff like that, so it's like, I know what it's like to just be that lost, almost little girl in this huge, scary world, and just be like, I don't know what I want to be. I don't know who I am some days, like, and just fighting through, like, for the good of you.
Yeah, I mean, you literally just said how I feel in a strange way, which is weird that you picked that up based on watching me.
I'm telling you, like, this happens.
Because
like, it's just like this very visceral, like, I see you. Like, you don't know me, I don't know you.
That's
and even if we never met, I'm still sitting there, girl, I see you. Like, I see you right now.
That's so interesting to me, because that's just like wildly interesting to me, because I really believe, well, I never really believed in, like, I never knew what to believe, to be honest.
Right.
About, like, either afterlife or...
Yeah, like, I like so many different aspects of so many different things.
Yeah.
And it's like...
But there is, without a doubt, it's just weird. Like, did you like, know one day we would meet? Did you have that feeling or something? Because you said when you see someone, you have a feeling it's now, or it's... What was that thing that you said?
It's just, I see people, and I can pretty quickly determine if I feel like they're going to be in my life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
A reason, a season, or a lifetime. That's
Yeah.
like, did you make that up?
No.
I'm about to put that on a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yeah.
I like that.
What's up? Oh, you want the garbage? Okay, thanks, bud. Good job. So I think it was more of, I was like, yeah, I can get down with this girl, because instead of taking your situation and, like, I guess riding it out to, like, fame and fortune and stuff, you're just like, yo, I'm a normal mom. This is how I look.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna have to deal with it.
I mean, we're gonna reel it back, but she's like probably one of the best writers. Like, it's just real and raw and authentic. And so essentially, we started talking via DMs, because I was like, I don't know, there's something about, like, I definitely struggle with depression and anxiety, and then I'm like, but wait a minute, this woman is a mom and she was diagnosed with cancer. It went to remission and then was re-diagnosed with cancer. And I was like, on my worst days, I'm not going through that. And so a little part of me was like, you know, and you know, you're not, and this is the other thing too, you're not toxic positivity, you know, you're not like, oh, but life is hard, you know, but you are pretty optimistic. I mean, even when she came in, Doug and I were like, should we be wearing a mask? What should we do? We're so socially awkward. We're like incredibly awkward. And so then she came in and I was like, oh crap, like we don't have the masks on. Doug's like, should we have a mask on? And like your response was really so positive and optimistic. And it was like, yeah, I'm going through chemo, so.
I said I'm vaccinated, I'm boosted, and whatever you might give me, chemo's probably gonna kill it anyway.
Yeah. So I was, your outlook on life is really remarkable.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we should start at the top and real fast explain to me, you know, and everybody.
The cancer story?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to close the door. Hey guys, do you mind if I close the door so you guys can play? Because I wanted to talk to Sara real fast on the cameras. Okay, honey? Actually, should we close our son and our daughter, or your son and my daughter in a bedroom? I think it's fine.
I think they'll be fine.
I think it's fine.
Like,
I think it's okay. All right, honey,
he
close the door.
hasn't had assault charges yet, so. I mean,
I even have a block of Satan, but
perfect.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. So, woo, that's how my son
Door's
closes the door too. And then he'll open it and be like, "Did I slam it?" We'll be like, "Yeah, bud, you kind of did." He's like, "Okay, sorry." It's great.
10 years from now, I'll be like, keep that door open.
I know. You have a boy in your room? Well, first of all, there will be no boys in your room. And second of all, even if there was, I would be in complete eyesight for the
whole time, right? Yeah.
Well, December, it was 17th or 18th. I literally woke up and I looked like I was 9 months pregnant. And I mean, I don't eat the best, so, and I have IBS, so sometimes I don't go for like a week, and it's like not that really big
how do I
a
open
deal.
this myself?
Come here.
My life.
Right?
There's a kitchen, Dad.
What is that?
All right.
What? A camp stove?
But
Trent's
it-
gonna
it-
love
it-
that.
It makes noise, but I don't know what happened to it.
Maybe Trent will know.
Maybe the batteries
What?
ran out. So I was super uncomfortable, like literally full on pregnancy, like sitting like this, like I couldn't eat anything, I couldn't drink anything. So I finally went to the ER. I sat, and now, so this is the height of the first wave of the pandemic. So I go to the local ER, I sit there for 5.5 hours. They finally give me a triage bed, and they literally treated me for 20 minutes. And then they said, well, you said you're constipated, so you're constipated. They gave me a bottle of magnesium citrate. They told me to drink it before I went to bed and I'd be fine. No labs, no imaging. I don't even think they did vitals on me. So I know you were a nurse, right?
Yeah, that's...
And I'm a medical assistant, which is, you know, several steps below a nurse, but still, there is not enough poop that your body could keep to make you look like that. So I went home, and of course I'm super stubborn, and my husband's like, I can't believe they didn't do anything. So I took the magnesium citrate, which any of you have ever had to take magnesium citrate, it's like molten lava. Like possessed molten lava coming out of your body.
Yeah.
So I took the magnesium citrate, cleaned my whole system out, and I still look 9 months pregnant the next day.
Probably still in excruciating pain. Yeah.
Like I literally was so uncomfortable. So the next day I called the tele-nurse. She said, I really think you need to go to a different ER. I went to a different ER. They immediately took me back and did an x-ray, and they said, well, there is literally no fecal matter in your body, so now we need to figure out what the problem is.
Yeah.
So they did a CT scan, and they found a grapefruit-sized tumor in my pelvis.
Wow.
So that is when, has hit the fan when like OBGYN comes in and like this specialist and everybody and their cousin all of a sudden wanted to know all about Sara, unlike the other hospital,
Right.
which didn't give a rip. So,
thank God you didn't wait longer or listen
Right.
to them
Right.
and just be like, oh, I must have to crap or something, you know?
Right.
Like, thank God you were
if
your own
I was an
advocate.
80-year-old woman, she literally would have been dead by now because she would have been like, well, they said it's fine.
Yeah.
So, I had connections at Johns Hopkins, so I went down to Johns Hopkins. I got my fluid tapped out of my stomach. It was ascites. And from that ascites, they determined, and I was officially diagnosed with stage 3 clear cell ovarian cancer on December 23rd of 2020. It was the worst Christmas of my life because you have a small kid and like, your entire world is crumbling because ovarian cancer over all 4 stages only has a 47% survival rate at 5 years. The survival rates for ovarian cancer have not increased in 50 years. So then on January 6th, now we're still in the pandemic, so this is all by myself. When I found out I had a tumor, I was by myself. When I found out I had cancer, I was by myself. We drove down to Baltimore. My husband dropped me off at the front of the building on January 6th. He could not even wheel my suitcase in for me. I went in, and this is where it gets fun because I say that I was cut lips to nips or pubes to boobs, whichever one. Like literally my pubic bone to up here. They opened me up. They took out all like my uterus, my cervix, my fallopian tubes, my ovaries, part of my liver, my stomach lining, and 19 lymph nodes.
Because cancer was in all of that?
So
Why?
it originated from my right ovary. They also found it in my left fallopian tube. So automatically all my lady bits gone. So yeah, they took part of my liver. They took my stomach lining because it's very porous. It's almost like netting. And if I had ascites, I don't even remember how much it was. I think it was like 2 liters of ascites. So all of those cancerous cells could have gotten caught up in that. So they just take it out, and then they took 19 lymph nodes from various parts of my body to see how far it was spread. So it was in a distant lymph node, a tiny little 2 millimeter speck. So that automatically puts me at stage 3. Stage 3 on a normal.
Do you want to play with a monster truck?
A normal scale of events is like a 35% chance of being alive at 5 years. But clear cell is chemo resistant and very aggressive. So my stage 3 clear cell ovarian cancer gives me a 27% chance of being alive at 5 years. So we're a year and a half into it. So in theory, I have a 27% chance of being here in 3.5 years. So
I feel like I'm going to cry and this isn't my life. I don't even...
yeah.
I'm like, sorry if I lose it because you're so strong and you're not, but like...
Sadly, like, I'm used to it. Like, at this point, this is just like a chronic illness. Ovarian cancer is diagnostically considered a chronic illness. Isn't that crazy?
That is absolutely crazy.
Because it recurs, like, anywhere. In breast, liver, and lungs are the most common places for it to recur.
So, knowing... God, there's like so much I want to talk to you about, and I feel like this is
Hi.
so deep.
Is it okay if she keeps the sand out while I'm playing with it, like all of it?
Yeah, you can play with the sand. Well, there's so much to like really unwrap because you're all of, like, did you want more kids? I mean, I guess...
No. Thankfully, I had always been a one and done. Like, when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I want the white picket fence. I want, the kids, the dog, you know, I wouldn't mind being a stay-at-home mom, but I don't mind working. And then, I mean, this is my second marriage. So my first marriage ended horribly, absolutely horribly. So then it was just kind of like something in me switched from being a people pleaser to being we only get this one life, so as long as I'm not hurting anyone or myself, like, let's just do some crazy stuff. So I mean, skydiving, motorcycle rallies, like, because we both have motorcycles and stuff. So I mean, and we never did anything dangerous or other than skydiving. But I was always just still wanted to be a mom, but I was like, please if I have a kid, please let it be a boy, because I'm just like, I'm camping, hiking, bathing in the creek. One thing about cancer is you kind of, there are days where you keep going through all the stages of grief just over and over and over. And I always say that you have to live your life like you can go visit your grief and that dark side and that dark place, but you can't live there. You can go visit, unpack whatever you need to pack, but then you have to come home to your real true self and your real life. So that's what I do. Sometimes I visit grief multiple times in a day. Sometimes I don't visit it for 3 days, but you gotta compartmentalize it, like, and you gotta keep that dark, the fears and all that stuff just kind of off to the side. But I mean, it was rough.
Yeah. So so like the thought of, so getting back to like the thought of, you have a young boy who's going to be 5, and you said earlier you have a 27% chance to live for 5 years, and you're already at the 1.5 year mark. Oh, like, explain to me, like, what goes on in your mind when you hear that and then know that and then have to live that?
I think your first reaction, of course, is going to be devastated, just utterly devastated, because as much as moms, like, you know, you're like, I need a break from my kids and stuff like that, like, a break is a break, and death is like death, like, you know, so you want to see him in his little midget football outfit, and like his first day of kindergarten, and like t-ball and all that stuff. And then, are we allowed to cuss?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like get all that out, and then you're just kind of like, well, hell no. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, we can't dwell on that, because the truth is a perfectly healthy person can get hit by a truck or have an aneurysm and stuff. I just have a better idea of where I am in line to the end. So, then you just kind of dust yourself off and you just decide to fight back. I mean,
so, like, speaking of that, like, what does the fight look like for you right now?
So I did 6 rounds of chemo, and I was on a maintenance drug called Avastin, which prevents your body from making new blood supplies, therefore starving the cancer, because if it doesn't have blood, it doesn't survive. I started to feel like, so I ended chemo in May of 2021. I would say probably July I was declared NED, which is no evidence of disease. And then I would say about September, I started feeling exactly the way I felt before I was diagnosed, and I kept fighting with my doctors, and this is where medical gaslighting comes in and medical narcissism. They kept telling me that a CT scan was just as good as a PET scan, which is not true, because a CT scan is interpretive. A PET scan is a radioactive isotope that narrows in on the sugars your body produces that the cancer feeds off. So the PET scan, I fought with them because that PET scan would light it up, and it's not anybody's interpretation, it is flat out facts. It will find the tiniest tidbit and light it up. So I fought with them for months, and it was my doctor saying I didn't need one. A CT scan was good enough. So I fought and fought.
Why
and
would they
fought.
not want to give it to you?
Because they think they know everything.
Yeah.
They think they know what's best, and I'm sitting here in my body 24/7, 365 saying something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So they finally gave me a PET scan, and by December, almost to the day, they told me I was in recurrence, and because it happened so quickly that I am incurable. So I will have ovarian cancer for the rest of my life. So now they biopsied one of the lymph nodes to confirm. So now the problem is we can't do radiation because the 2 lymph nodes it's in, they can get one lymph node but not the other one, because the other one is between my heart and my diaphragm, and there's no way to get to it. So we can't do radiation, because why would we do radiation if we could only get one? And my duodenum is right behind the one they could radiate, so I would need a colostomy bag for the rest of my life, but then still have the cancer. We can't do surgery for the same reason. They can't reach the one spot. I can't do chemo because I'm considered platinum sensitive, which means 90% of chemos will not work on me anymore. So my only course of action now is immunotherapy. So I take a chemo pill every single day just to help. I take my Avastin infusions every 3 weeks to stop my body from making new blood supplies, and I take Keytruda, which is immunotherapy, every 3 weeks with infusions.
So right there, if you're not getting the blood supply naturally from your own body, are you getting blood transfusions? Like, how are you, like, what?
It depends. It depends. Before every infusion, I get my blood work done. And if my blood work is bad, we will not do the infusion. And then we have to do, like, IV infusions of something else or a blood transfusion if I need it. Lots of women have to have many blood transfusions. So right now they've had great results with immunotherapy. So it has gotten to the point where it's kind of like,
Mama,
Yeah.
can we go to a playground?
Not yet. I'm gonna talk with Miss Sara, and if you could try to stay in there, you're doing a great job.
What's Trent doing? Is he behaving?
He's playing with the kinetic sand.
Oh, he loves kinetic sand. So we're just trying to control it with immunotherapy. So it's kind of like, I work for a nonprofit and we do HIV case management. So it's kind of like HIV positive people with their ART, their antiretroviral therapy. If you take your medicine and you follow it, you can live a relatively normal life.
That sounds like really good news. Like, that you're, in the sense that you have something that, like, because I know there are a lot of people with HIV who do live with HIV now longer than, you know, the predicted, what it used to be.
It's not a death sentence anymore. You can lead like a completely almost normal life. You can have kids and your kids are not going to have HIV. Like, it's crazy.
So do you think if you take this medicine the way you're supposed to, you'll be part of that 27% to be, and also then if you live 5 years, then what is the longevity like after that?
Jury's still out, but yeah, I feel like I would be doing a disservice to myself and my family if I didn't believe that this was gonna be it. I try and go into these things not having, being kind of ambivalent, like just, I'm not like, yes, this is it, but I'm not like, this is not gonna work. So I'm not like joy from inside out, but I'm not sadness from inside out.
Okay, real talk. Real talk though. Like, how do you really feel, truly? I
mean, I feel like, I kind of feel like God's like, I don't know if I want her up here, and the devil's like, I mean, I don't want her down here, so So
what are we doing with her? I guess we'll leave her.
I'm just gonna be here for the duration. Like, I mean, I just choose to believe that I'm kind of I choose to believe that I am going to be on this mortal plane for the time that I'm supposed to be on this mortal plane. I'm very much so like a karma person, but I'm also religious, but I'm really spiritual.
Same.
Like, I'm kind of just out there, like, in left field. I always say on my TikToks, whatever container you try and put me in, I will not fit. Any religious, political, like, any of that stuff. Any container you try and put me in, I'm not gonna fit. No box, no boat, I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna fit. So I prefer to say mortal plane, because that's what this is. No matter what, scientifically, this is a mortal plane we are on. And I'm just kind of like, I'm going to be here for the time that I'm supposed to be here, which is really hard as a mom, because not saying that little boys and little girls don't need their dads. Kids need their moms.
Yeah.
Like, they need that, like, nurturing, just, they need the women from Venus portion of their lives. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I just choose to believe that this is the path that I am supposed to be on, and I'm gonna fight like hell. But if it doesn't work out, that's how it's supposed to be. This is bigger than me, and I'm not saying like in a God way or reincarnation way or anything like that, but just this is how it's supposed to be. So I mean, I just gotta do what I gotta do. Oh, you needed that? I just gotta do what I gotta do to just spread this love and joy and ridiculousness that is me. And honestly, it sounds so messed up to say, but this is the happiest I've ever been in my life, because you literally do not have time for bullshit anymore. None. It puts everything into such pinpoint perspective that you just like shed all this weight that doesn't matter. If you think of, oh, I had a friend, I haven't talked to him in 6 months. If you think about the last interaction you had with them, and if you're okay that being the last interaction you ever have with them, get rid of them. They're not part of the plan. If you don't like how your last interaction then fix it. Because then it has been laid on your heart that they are part of the plan. And that's just kind of how I am just going through this life.
Okay, so you are sitting here, someone diagnosed with terminal cancer that's not curable, and you just said this is the happiest you've ever been in your life. So if someone like myself who struggles with daily depression and anxiety, and I don't have half the issue, like I don't have terminal, I don't have that diagnosis, and you know, like, and yet I'm not the happiest I've ever been. Meanwhile, I have like all the things I could have ever wanted and more. What would you say to someone, like how do I get to that type of how would someone else get to that type of happiness? Do you guys want to sit with us?
Mommy and be quiet? We're recording. You'll come sit?
Oh, wait,
No? Okay, you go. Like, I've struggled with anxiety and depression, and I go through the cycles of being manic where it's like aggressively cleaning every inch of the house or I don't get out of bed for 3 days. So then I guess now I just don't chase after relationships that are not reciprocal. That is my one big thing. I don't get nearly as stressed out about the little things because I'm very OCD. And we also go to therapy every week.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of therapy.
Every stinking week.
Like family, like a husband and wife type thing?
So we do kind of a hybrid. So we've been doing couples, but then this week coming up, he's just gonna go. Then next week, I'm just gonna go, and then we're gonna go back to going together because we are awful at communication.
Oh my goodness, that sounds like that is literally Doug and I.
Yeah. And,
therapy and all, like the way you guys do it and everything.
Yeah, so I don't know how you could go through this without going to therapy. And you can't, it's just like antidepressants. You cannot just start with one, and when that doesn't work, you give up. I know you feel like giving up because then, like, going through depression meds, like, sometimes it makes you so much worse. Sometimes, like, it works a little bit. Like, it takes time. Just like antidepressant medicines take time, finding the right therapist that you click with and you trust takes time. Literally, you just cut the fat out of your life. I always tell people that my coping mechanisms are really horrible eating habits and inappropriate dark humor. Really inappropriate dark humor that makes people uncomfortable. But like, if I love to laugh. What do I care about? Like, I mean, just you. Not like mom Jamie or wife Jamie or businesswoman Jamie. Like, what, and that's what I talk about when I say you always have to come home to your true self. What does your true self need? Because you need to make sure your tank is full, because everybody comes to the mom gas pump to fuel up. So you gotta stop feeling guilty about stupid. Now what?
I just bited it in half.
That's crazy.
Because I did with my teeth. My teeth is down.
You're a busy little beaver.
They're just making sure we're still here.
I know.
Well, talking about, like, not as a mom, not as a wife, switching out over to the mom gear and, like, this bare minimum mama, which I just love. And so you have a whole platform on TikTok, Instagram, and you also have a site where you can get one of these fancy little shirts if you'd like one. And obviously, first things first is I am absolutely throwing in a complete shameless plug absolutely everywhere, because the woman is going through such a tough time right now. So I'm going to be putting her GoFundMe link below, which you have to read. If nothing else, just read it, because she's like, I'm telling you, you're such a good writer. Like, you're so funny.
I told you that was a really, really, really inspiring chat for me, myself, but like, I'm sure for you as well. I mean, if you're still watching at this point, will you pop a like and maybe even throw in your comments, like what part of the interview or what part of the chit chat that I had with Sara was most meaningful to you? Because honestly, it was incredibly meaningful to me. So thank you so much for watching and for giving Sara a moment of your time to just hear her story. I hope that she's inspiring to you as she is to me. And also, if you feel like you're up for it, I have all of the links to her, all of her channels and whatnot. Even if you don't want to like support her in a monetary way, give her a follow, as she just loves creating stuff. I don't even know how the girl has energy, but I love it, and I think that it's awesome. So I have all her links listed below in the description, and I'll see you next week with another video on Hanging with the Hehners.